Markets had a nice day today in anticipation of a softer inflation print tomorrow, and the Fed's response to that being a 50 basis point rate hike. So let's take a look at what's going on and see what we can figure out for tomorrow. So market is closed. The Dow closed up 1.5%, S&P up 1.4, NASDAQ up 1.26. As the expectations are a weaker inflation report, but still high. Today's action is mostly a reflex bounce after last week's poor performance. So there's probably some cautious optimism ahead of tomorrow's CPI report, but also some underlying concern. We can see that the concern today is an up market for equities that actually has the VIX rising sharply, as well as yields. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Bond yields, very interesting dynamic there. The new FTX CEO tell Congress that crypto exchange FTX had an utter failure of corporate controls. Do you think? So FTX tomorrow, I think Sam Bankman-Fried is supposed to testify virtually to the committee in Congress tomorrow. So the fallout from that continues. And then, of course, there's all kinds of rumors about Binance out there and what's going on with that. And again, you just need to be careful, and you need to expect and be ready for Binance to tank, Tether to tank. I'm not saying it will, not saying it's going to. I'm just saying you need to have the mindset that it will, and you need to protect yourself and be very careful if you're trading. Get your coins off of exchanges, all of that kind of stuff, and verify, then trust, and just assume that they're all just operating not above board and doing things they shouldn't be doing. That's just the way it is right now in the space until proven otherwise. But as you can see, had a nice little update on the Dow today. The NASDAQ finishing up a little bit, S&P here. But here's the interesting thing. The VIX was up today, spiked while markets were up. That's not usually what happens. The dollar was up a little bit, but the 10-year was up as well. So you had spiking yields, spiking VIX, and the dollar up while stocks were up. So that is not typical. That's very interesting. And we will see. Chances are, if we get a soft inflation print tomorrow, Fed hits 50 basis points, markets could have a nice little rally off of that, and then continuation into the end of the year. And looking for that Santa Claus rally. We'll revisit that more tomorrow in terms of what that's looked like the last few years. But here's Bitcoin continuing its range right here, getting real quiet in this 15 or 16.6 range to 17.4. That's kind of the range, and then more specifically, kind of hovering in that 16 to 17,000 range, 16.9 to 17,000. So just awaiting further price action moves from the Fed as we see this all play out. Bitcoin kind of hanging on, not participating in the rallies in the markets, but not participating on the huge downsides either for the most part. So we'll just, have to wait and see what that looks like. Ethereum kind of hanging on here, never did go back and check that June low. So that'll be interesting to see if that range holds on Ethereum and then all the other altcoins. And again, what's coming out with all of this FTX fallout, Binance investigations, things like that, what you're finding is, all of this price action is manipulated across the exchanges by the exchanges themselves, a few key players in the space kind of coordinating. When you have the exact same price action across multiple assets, that just shows you right there, everything's kind of acting the same. So kind of a coordinated thing going on there. So it's, kind of suspect what's going on right now, but price is holding up. There are a lot of stubborn holders with Bitcoin here in the last year or so, with new investors kind of hanging on, people that own part of a Bitcoin or one Bitcoin not selling right now. I know the people that I know that, bought back in late last year, early this year, up at these upper levels, they're down so far right now. A lot of them are just hanging on, just waiting it out, and they're just not even going to touch it. They're not even looking at it. So it's interesting. That could prop prices up for a little while. We still haven't had a complete capitulation in the markets, in crypto or in stock markets, where investors just flat out give up and walk away and just are totally disgusted with the space. We haven't seen that, like a March 2020 event or a 2009 event. We just we haven't seen that yet. And what it would take for that would be, mass layoffs, bankruptcies, companies closing, things like that. That's when you're in a real recession. That's when you will see real reactions in the markets. And tomorrow we're going to get a lot of color on inflation and what the Fed is going to do about that. So we'll dig into all that tomorrow. But for now, that's what we're looking for. Right now, the expectations are inflation is going to come in a little bit softer. The Fed will do 50 basis points. Markets might have a nice little rally that could continue into the end of the year. We'll take a look at tomorrow what that looked like the last year for the Santa Claus rally and what we can expect. So until then, I'll see you on the next video.